Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to GameFace TLDR 472. All the fun and information you know and love about GameFace in 1/3 of the time. I'm Shane Satterfield, your host for this podcast, and we have an awesome episode for you guys this week. We're going to review Monster Hunter Stories 3. We're going to review Slay the Spire 2, which is looking like a Game of the Year candidate. We're also going to tackle John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. We're also going to discuss the big controversy around NVIDIA's DLSS 5. We have an awesome episode for you guys. Let's get to it. And of course, as always, alongside me to do all of this is the one and the only Matt Keil. How are you, Matt? How's your week been?
Pretty good.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You're of Irish descent, correct?
I am.
So today's your holiday.
Sorta.
You gonna drink some green beer?
No. We're not going to do that.
I haven't drank green beer since I was like 22 or something like that.
I don't think I've ever had green beer.
Really?
No, I'm not a beer person.
I used to be. I've gone in waves. When I was in college, I drank a lot of beer. Then I started drinking liquor, and now I'm kind of half
I've
and
had
half.
Guinness in Ireland, I understand.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste like that here.
It does not. That is true, actually. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the St. Patrick's Day music we played pre-stream today. I played some U2, which I will admit, other than the Pogues, is the only Irish band that I'm aware of. And definitely the only Irish band that I'm a big fan of. Coming in hot this morning, we got some information for our housekeeping that Starfield is launching for PlayStation 5 on April 7th. I think we kind of knew this day was always going to come.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about the Elder Scrolls 6 right now, Matt? Do you think that that's going to be like a timed exclusive for...
No, I think that's going to be simultaneous.
You think it'll be like a...
If Todd has the bandwidth for it to do both versions at the same time, I think they will do it at the same time.
Huh.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
where
at
the money
this point,
is.
why wouldn't you? Yeah.
It's absolutely where the money is.
It's crazy, though, to think you have this jewel sitting there if you're Xbox and you're just going to share it with the
but
world.
They know no one's going to do that.
I mean, they made that
buy
decision a while ago, and now they have to live with the consequences of it.
They're living with it just fine, judging by the Forza Horizon sales.
Right, the sales that they're getting. How do you think Starfield's going to do on PlayStation, though?
Not Forza Horizon numbers.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It has a reputation, shall we say?
Yeah,
and it was what 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hasn't really. I mean, everyone was kind of waiting for some other announcement that I think this must have been it. But there was an announcement that was coming. And Starfield, and Todd Howard already said like this is not Starfield 2.0. Just chill out, you know.
Well, there is a huge update coming out on the 7th. Like 2 updates actually. There's one launched today, the smaller, and then a big one's coming on the same day, April 7th, alongside the PlayStation 5 version. So that maybe should get people back into it. Are you going to give it a go again with new content?
No, my Starfield is Star Wars now.
Did you finish it?
No, I got like most of the power. I just petered out on it. I don't care what happens. The thing that kept me playing Skyrim, and still, I've played Skyrim like 5 times. And like only 2 of those were intentional.
Yeah.
And the thing that gets you guys like the side quests and the side content just pulls you through. Like it's just like, I gotta look through this cave. I gotta look at this thing. It's like the breadcrumbs keep you going. And Starfield just doesn't have any of that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, welcome to GameFace 472. We have a great show for you guys this week. We're gonna review Monster Hunter Stories 3, which has really impressed me. I played a little bit of it a few weeks ago and talked about it. I've been playing the full game. We're going to talk about that here. We're going to review another pleasant surprise for me, believe it or not, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. I enjoyed. Believe it or not, we're going to talk about that. We're going to review Game of the Year Indie Darling, Slay the Spire 2. We're also going to talk about, and I saw a lot of chatter about this in the pre-stream chat here on Twitch, we're going to talk about the DLSS 5 controversy. Yesterday, NVIDIA unveiled its new rev of its frame generation technology, and people are freaking out about it, and we're going to talk about it here on the show. We have an awesome show for you guys, for sure. Lots of big reviews, lots of big news stories. It should be a good one. It's LS Cream, the fine cream liqueur crafted by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. Inspired by the Haitian drink Cré Mas, LS Cream delivers an award-winning experience with every single pour. One sip and you'll see why. It's a party favorite. The silky blend of fresh cream and premium neutral grain spirits mixes great with everything. I dare you to put a shot in your coffee. I've been drinking it for years and still, I find new combinations that taste incredible. LS Cream is the kind of drink that keeps surprising you, thanks to its notes of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and coconut. Take it to any gathering and watch it steal the spotlight. We've never seen anyone resist. Ready to join the fan club? Head to creamls.com/sifted for recipes, retailers, and online orders. That's creamls.com/sifted. All right, it's time to get into the show proper. We're going to talk about Monster Hunter Stories 3 again. I have been playing the final version of this game. I'm about 20 hours into it at this point. I had played a good bit before, too. I had played 7 hours or something like that. And I did have to play.
Demo.
The demo was long. And
I haven't played the final version, but I did play the demo.
Well, we did talk about this a couple weeks ago, so I'm not going to beleaguer a lot of the stuff we discussed the first time. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of the plot. You are a prince or princess of this kingdom. There's another rival kingdom that you've been basically allies with for many, many years. But there's this plague that has come across the land, and the rival kingdom that you've been dealing with, this kingdom called Vermeil, thinks that you may have something to do with it. Basically, your two kingdoms do not trust each other at all. This event happens where they find this magical egg. It cracks. Two of these creatures come out. It's this huge sign that the world is changing. Your mother, the queen... All right, yeah. Your mother, the queen, takes off with one of the creatures. Your mom takes one of them, and you're left with the other one. You're the only one that can ride the Rathalos. So everyone thinks you're this special person or whatever. Anyway, these two kingdoms are almost at war. And what happens is the other kingdom, Vermeil, sends, and I'm playing as a prince, so they sent the princess from their kingdom to come to your kingdom and basically live with you. Did you get to that point in the game?
They send a prince.
I was wondering. If you play as the princess, they send the prince?
Yeah, I believe
Interesting. So. Okay. So for me, I played as the prince. They sent their princess to me, and she is quite the looker. No shocker there. And basically, she lives with you. And I mentioned this the first time that I talked about this game on GameFace, but I'm going to say it again. This game really can teach some things to kids about how people are different and accepting people's differences. Like, this game really demonstrates that. The princess comes to your kingdom, and she had all these built-up preconceived notions about you and your kingdom because of what people had told her back in her kingdom. She gets to your kingdom, she realizes that is all BS, and in some ways kind of turns, ultimately, on her kingdom a little bit and sides with you because she starts to realize that your kingdom is not what she's been told. And along the way, some serious stuff happens. That's the other thing I would say about this. This game looks like a kid's game.
And the others were.
They
Especially
were.
The first one. The first one was very good. This series seems to be trying to grow up with the audience that played the first game to some degree.
I would probably not recommend that like 5 to 8-year-olds play this. There's some pretty heavy stuff that happens in this.
I'd say this is more targeted for teens.
Yeah. I mean, they could probably handle it, but they may have a nightmare that night, or they may start asking you weird questions.
I mean, it kind of depends. If your kids are watching K-pop Demon Hunters, they're going to handle this fine.
You're probably right. But there's some stuff that happens in this emotionally that made me take a step back and think of for a minute. So the plot in this definitely aged up. It definitely appeals to an older audience. It's not like hardcore M-rated or anything like that, but it does have adult themes to it. And that is, at least in my opinion, as adults who play video games, that is an upgrade for this franchise. I am very impressed with the plot in this, also completely hooked on it, and I care about pretty much all the major players. I want to know what happens. I want to know about the mom, and it's pretty well paced. It gets a little slow here and there. Almost sometimes the game gets in the way of making the plot flow. Because the one thing I'll say about this game, Matt, is that some of these battles can last forever. Forever.
I'm not sure if I'm missing something in the combat system because of how long some of the fights last.
Even with like the little rank and file guys, they just drag on sometimes.
That's what I mean, is like I feel like I'm missing something that these battles should be happening faster and I'm not doing something right.
I thought that too, Matt. I'm like 20 hours into the game and I still have not discovered the magic bullet that should speed up the battles.
One thing I don't, so there's a rock paper scissors element to it where you're like, if the monster's targeting you, you have like, was it speed, power, and technique? Technical. Like you can pick what. There's a rock paper scissors thing where one beats the other and the other beats. Is there a way to tell what they're about to do? Because it seems almost random. Like in the other ones there was a system kind of like that, but like
they did the same thing every time.
But yeah, each enemy was like, oh, it had this. It was color coded, and like this one, like even the like at first I thought like the beam that pointed to you from the monster was like color coded to what they were gonna do. That's not true. Are you just guessing, or do you have to memorize like everybody's
Here's the thing:
temperament,
they
like-
switch. Like they don't do the first two games did do that. Once a monster showed you what kind of type it was going to use, it kept using it. In this one, it switches it up. So I haven't figured it out either, Matt. Any sure way to know? And I mean, to be honest, you shouldn't be able to know every time because that would make the game a joke, basically.
Yeah.
And it was.
Well,
the
but-
prior two games, like after a while, it all broke down.
But also, like that only matters when they're targeting you,
Right.
Because you can control your Rothlos, but the other characters you're with do their own things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like it's hard. I guess the other characters do a good job of keeping you alive, and it's actually very hard to fully wipe out.
It is, yeah. Because you basically have 3 lives in this,
Yeah.
where you didn't have lives in the prior games, but the other games were easier.
Yeah. Like basically, if any of your characters fall a total of 3 times, you lose the battle.
Yeah.
But you can there are characters that have abilities that can also restore those lives in the middle of the battle. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's very unusual, I think.
Well, one thing that I talked
that you
about,
would actually fully wipe out.
what I found, Matt, is if you hit R2, it does go to a screen that really gives you tons of detail on the enemies. The key to succeeding in combat is staggering and knocking enemies down or incapacitating them.
Yeah,
so
well, just like every RPG in the last 15
it is
years.
like I got a spider.
This takes a lot of cues from Persona.
It does,
Which
yeah.
is not
or,
bad.
Or
I mean,
Pokemon.
Steal from the... Oh, yeah, but the stagger everyone and then you hit the button and everybody beats up on the guy as like a finisher. Like, that's Persona.
It is, yeah.
Persona 3 started that,
Yep.
so...
But this, you have like 6 at a time. You have 6 monsties, 6 Pokemon at a time in your roster. And one thing I will say, too, is there are points in this game where you get stuck. And you don't have a chance to get to some place and change your party. So, for example, this leads in perfectly to what I was saying before. So you hit R2 and you look at the alignment of the monster, and you learn what can like mess with we'll knock him down or what won't knock him down or whatever. Like I said, I had that spider that I hatched an egg. It was level 1. All my other monsties were like level 15, level 20 or whatever, but it had an attack that would put the enemies to sleep. And I ended up using that spider through like an entire 2-hour section of the game just to put the enemies to sleep. So they would lose a turn and I could just do damage on them while they're asleep or whatever. That monstie was not very powerful, but he had that one attack that put that other monstie to sleep. And that's what matters. And so again, going back to what I was saying earlier, hitting R2 and looking at all those alignments for the monsters that you fight makes a huge difference, and you really need to follow that, or you're going to end up in boss fights that drag on forever.
They still drag out. Like, the boss fights, even in the demo, like, you got to stagger them like 3 times to do enough damage to, like... That's why I was wondering if I'm doing something wrong or I'm underpowered. I don't feel like I'm underpowered. I've spent everything I can on upgrading stuff.
That's the way the game is. And the worst part about it, Matt, is you get further into the game, you start getting into boss fights that are multi-stage, where you'll fight 2 bosses. Like, you'll fight one boss that's hard to beat, and the first time you beat him, you're like, yes! And then another boss comes out, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? And if you lose to that second boss, you have to fight the whole sequence over. I mean, this game is a lot. There's no doubt about it. And
it's just systems on systems like every RPG is now.
And like, there's one system, if you look at the bottom of the screen there's those 2 gems. If you keep using the same monstie, that gem builds up. And once it's full, you can then mount your monstie. And you can do this crazy team-up attack with somebody else in your party. And when I first played it, I was having problems. I was like, wait a minute, like, you have to rely on the CPU to mount their monstie at the same time as you. And what I've found now that I've played it a lot more is they thought of that. And CPU will mount their monstie and just not use an attack until you mount yours. So they'll get on theirs, and they'll just keep fighting as normal until you mount yours, then you do the team-up attack. So they have figured that out, and they will wait for you for when you're ready to do the big team-up attack and deal the damage. So they've done a pretty good job. I do agree with you, Matt, that a little bit, it does feel like a lot of this is out of your control in some ways, but I do think the CPU is pretty smart.
The closest comparison to this is Persona, because you've got your party, you only control your guy and your monster,
and your monstie,
which is equivalent of your personas. And there's all this status stuff and all the versus this week to this and rock, paper, rock, scissors, and I mean, and trying to stagger things. I mean, it's Persona.
Yeah.
Very much Persona. There's no random battles. You can hit things to get an advantage when you start the battle. It's Persona.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate.
Monster Hunter Persona.
Yeah.
So if you're, and very story driven, very long. So if that sounds good to you, here you go. It's Persona Monster Hunter.
Yeah. A big part of the strategy in this game is making sure that you have a well-rounded party. You do not want 2 monsties in your party that do the same thing. You need to make sure that you have electrical attacks, fire attacks, all of it. Because you never know what alignment a monster is going to have. So
over specialize and you breed in weakness.
I mean, that's the other part, too.
As Major Motoko Kusanagi would say.
That's the other thing I've discovered, having continued to play this game, is the whole Monstie breeding thing is freaking insane. It goes crazy. Eventually, you get this weird, like, mini game that you play to breed Monsties where it's like tic-tac-toe. They give you a 3x3 grid, and you have to, like, line up the genes from other... So you can, like, steal genes from other Monsties, put them in the pool, and then apply those genes to another Monstie. And if you win tic-tac-toe while doing that, it gives you a boost. This game is just...
just like in real life.
Seriously. But this game just keeps going and going into the deep end. But I feel it, for the most part, it does do a good job of slowly training the player up and teaching you what you need to learn to be good at the game.
Yeah, if you're sticking with this, you'll pick it. It introduces it as a reasonable pace that you'll pick it all up.
Yep.
It's just one of those games where if you put it down and come back 6 months later, good luck.
Yeah.
You're gonna have forgotten a lot of the nuance.
If you get duplicate Monsties, you want to set one of them free back into the wild, because then they go and have sex and they repopulate and give you better versions of that monster.
Right.
Now, Matt, one thing I will say is that the developers of this game definitely realized that the battles start dragging on, because at a certain point in this game, you get to the point where you can click both sticks and just finish the fight. So if you fight against like rank and file enemies, you don't even have to do the fight. It goes to the fight screen, you click both sticks, and it just gives you.
Yeah. Again, Persona.
Yeah.
The let go.
Unfortunately, that does not happen with the mini bosses or the bosses in this. You just have to fight it out.
I imagine you're stuck with that one way or the other.
And I mean, the bosses in this, it just takes forever to chip them down. And there's nothing worse than going through 2 boss phases, dying, and having to start at the first phase again. Now that I've played this, I can definitely tell you it is not open world. Without a doubt, it is not open world. There is an area that is open-ish around your castle where you start, and it makes it feel like the game is open world. You can hop on your Monstie and fly using like the air up drafts, like in Pilot Wings or whatever. And you can go on the ground. You can run wherever you want, and there's missions everywhere. I think the quest system in this is great. Like, once you accept a quest, it's very easy to go into the menus and say, where do I need to go to solve this? And it's not always obvious. They'll sometimes just give you to the general area you need to go. So I feel like the questing system in this, it does a good job of keeping you on point, on task, and not wasting too much time in that way. Everything is slow in this, so it takes forever.
It's all the same weapons as Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it is. And it's the same theory, too, where after you beat the big boss, you should get enough parts from that boss to create armor from that boss. However, what I found is you're always one piece short. They give you all the stuff you need except for one piece of that armor set that apparently you're going to have to go out and fight that enemy again somewhere to get it. I don't know. Bottom line is, it takes forever to get new weapons in this game, or even upgrade weapons. It's like you always have everything except for one thing.
Although I will say the upgrades are substantial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you notice it right away. And like the power going from one sword to the next, it's not like a 5-point increase. It's like a 20-point increase. I think what's really drawing me through this game more than anything, honestly, Matt, is the plot. Like, the plot in this game is really, really good and intriguing and different. Now, I'm sure there's some fantasy film or TV show that has a similar plot or whatever, but I can't think of too many video games that share the same plot as this.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's doing something interesting with it as opposed to what the main series does, which is just like, we found a new place, let's go kill all the things that live there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, and I think there's some Game of Thrones influence here,
There
too.
is,
like,
for sure.
There's a lot of inter-kingdom politics and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the aging up of the pros in this third entry. And
the other two are kind of more of a we're on an adventure.
Let's get the Monsties.
Let's go catch them all.
Capcom is kind of creating a hole in its software lineup by aging this up, but is it a hole? Are kids really buying Capcom games anyway? Probably not. So
yeah, I mean,
it's done the calculations.
But it does fill a hole in their roster, basically.
Yeah.
This is their kind of JRPG series since they refused to make another Breath of Fire game.
Right.
So.
AJ the Legend Watson over on Twitch says, is this a good game to play on the Switch 2 for on-the-go gaming or better played on a more powerful system? It's a great Switch 2 game.
I don't think there's anything in this the Switch 2 wouldn't handle.
No, it's not even necessarily about... It's not going to look as good as the other versions, but it's a turn-based RPG, and those are always perfect for handhelds.
The only thing
I'd worry... pause it and let it sit there.
Well, the only thing I'd worry about is like maybe is draw distance in the large areas and things.
There's VOD issues in even the PlayStation 5 version of this. Like if you get on your Monstie and you run kind of fast, you can start seeing like trees drawing in and stuff. So even the PS5
all the
versions...
grass like detail and everything. I mean, even on PC, it's like that.
Oh, really? It is.
Like, yeah, it's just, but you know,
it is. It's the engine. That's all.
Nobody renders things infinite.
No,
you can't do that.
Yep. There you go. That is Monster Hunter Stories 3. That is definitely a thumbs up for me. I recommend buying it. I think it's the best RPG of 2026 so far. Next up, we're going to talk about a game that was one of the biggest pleasant surprises that I've experienced probably in the last 12 months. And there were a couple pleasant surprises in last year's, like when we did our awards last year, that was one of the harder ones for me to figure out, was like the biggest surprise or whatever. Because there were so many good games last year that I did not expect to be that good. This is another one. This is called John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. The best way I can describe it is it's Left 4 Dead by John Carpenter. Which means it actually has decent writing and a plot that's ham-fisted, but still fun and interesting to keep up with. I would also say that this is probably the best Left 4 Dead clone. This is better than Back 4 Blood by a mile. And the big difference between this and Left 4 Dead and the other Left 4 Dead clones is there's not overt safe houses in this, where you fight for like 10 minutes and you go to a safe house. Then you fight for 10 minutes, you go to a safe house. There are no safe houses in this, but there are areas that might as well be safe houses where they put a bunch of ammo and stuff, and you can restock, and you generally don't have to worry about enemies coming after you. But there's not the downtime that you get in Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood, where you literally, everybody goes into the safe house. You just sit there and wait for everybody to do their thing before you leave. Some of those games like make you all agree to leave the safe house at the same time or whatever. This game's not like that at all. The other thing I like about this game, and a pet peeve I have with games like this typically, is how people rush ahead and take all the loot. This game's that's not a problem. There's loot everywhere. There's enough loot for everybody in this game. So that's another thing that I typically hate about games like this, that this game does not have, and they kind of solve the problem. Now, the plot behind this game, and it is ham-fisted, and the other thing I would say too is that it can be hard to experience the plot in proper order, because you basically go to an interface, you say, hey, I want to play this mission, but if there aren't people there to match up with that mission, they'll match you up for one that you've already played. So sometimes you go back and play missions you've already played. It makes you forget what happens when you finally do play the third mission or whatever. And I think games like this, that's a common issue. That's one problem that they haven't solved in this. But the basic plot is that there's this guy who is doing these experiments for the military on this new type of energy. His name is Leon Dorsey.
Leon!
Seriously. And what's happened is his experiment has gone awry, and this horrible creature has escaped from the pits of hell, basically, and it's turned this entire area into what you're seeing now. It's all covered in this crazy sludge that's taken everything over. It's impacting the wildlife, and basically he calls you in on a job, the four of you, you and your three friends, to basically solve the problem. Take out all the infected that you're seeing right now, take out all the monsters, and then ultimately take out the big bad monster and return this area to safety. And that's pretty much the setup. Now, there's lots of back and forth. It's more comedic than horror, I guess is the way I would put it. There's just tons of one-liners. The four people are always kind of vibing off of each other, making crack comments about each other. One of my biggest criticisms, though, is that they could use a lot more of that, because the vocal samples tend to repeat pretty frequently, which, again, is pretty typical with games like this, but that is sort of one of my bigger issues with it. So yeah, your goal is to kill the bad beast that he's unleashed and then cure the infection and return this area to normal. So how it works is, while there aren't safe houses once you're out on a mission, after the mission is over, you go back to Leon's hub area. And back there's like places where you can adjust your loadout and level up your guns and add attachments to your guns and things like that. And you can also adjust the skill tree. Now there's 4 different characters in this, and you can choose the character that you want to play as. I don't know if I ever got it, because it doesn't freaking matter. All the characters are pretty much the same. What matters are the classes. There are 4 different classes that you can play as in this. And I'll be honest, half the time I didn't even know the character I was playing as in this, because it's a first-person shooter and you never see your character model, so you don't even know. But the 4 classes are the strike class, which is your basic assault class. There's the medic, which is self-explanatory. There's the operator, which gives you turrets and drones and things like that. And then there's the defender, and that character has shields and barricades. Each class has its own skill tree, and you level up each class on its own as you play. I didn't even realize this until later on in the game when it started getting more difficult, and I had to really start thinking about my classes and where I wanted to level stuff up. I hadn't realized that I had been playing the same class like the first 3 hours or whatever, and I had only leveled up the one class. So if you want to be good with drones, and I do, or turrets, and I do, you need to pay attention when you go back to Leon's and make sure you're leveling that stuff up along with all the other stuff. And I was able to catch up pretty quickly because the later missions, you get a lot more skill points because they're more challenging. So ultimately, I was able to catch up and be able to use the operator as I wanted to. But again, the classes in this are way more important than the actual character model that you're playing as in the game. Every character has their own kind of special, which is you have this supernatural power to shoot electricity, basically. What happens is you get here, and on your first mission, you get infected. And Leon, or whatever the hell his name is, installs like this collar around all your necks to keep you alive. But throughout the course of the game, you're getting, it's almost like Leon in Resident Evil Requiem. You have this spider webbing thing that's coming up your neck. And so it's a race against time. You basically have a week to kill this big monster to hopefully save yourselves. And eventually, like, the collars go away and he gives you some lame excuse about how it assimilated into your body or whatever. But anyway, so how it works is after you complete a mission, you go back to Leon's base. You go through this, you mess with the skill trees, you mess with your loadout, go back to another terminal and choose your mission. There are 9 different missions in the game. And once you've completed missions, you can then go and play them in any order you want to. However, you cannot choose a mission you haven't completed yet. So it's a little dicey choosing the missions that you actually want to choose and play it so you can keep making progress through the game. But I'll say this, the community for this game is gigantic. Like, matchmaking is instantaneous. Like, it doesn't matter what you select, because the parameters you can choose to sort by are awesome. You can choose pretty much how difficult you want to make it. You can choose the map that you want to play on, all that kind of stuff. And so once you set all that stuff up and you choose it, you go into this interface and it matches you up, and it's just like lightning. You're matching up with people instantly. I also found that the people that are in these games are awesome. They all work together because you have to. Another thing that's different about this game from other games is vehicles are a big part of it. This is a game from Focus Home Interactive. Can you think of another franchise from them, Matt, that's kind of big?
No.
Mudrunner?
Oh, they do the
technical
super
driving
realistic technical
sims.
stuff? Okay.
And this game has that technology in it. So there's like 6 or 7 different vehicles in the game. You have to fill them up with gas constantly, so you're always looking for gas cans to fill up the cars. You play a little mini game to repair them once they get damaged or whatever. And then you can drive around pretty much anywhere in the world in the vehicles, which is a big change from games like this. So the vehicles become a big part of the game, and there's missions in this where you have to use the vehicles. One thing I will say, though, is if you get left behind by the vehicles in this, you are screwed. And basically, how they fix that is there's this thing called like a sludge pod or whatever. You can die and you'll be downed, and you can stay down for a long time and they can come and heal you. If you stay down too long, you turn into this pod, and they transport the pod to close to where your teammates are, and they can come and revive you from the pod. Now, the only way that happens is if you found the pod throughout the course of the mission. And there's a little risk reward for that too. If you finish the mission with the pod, you get a huge multiplier on the points that you get for finishing the mission. But if you need it, you can use it as an extra life to revive yourself without even the use of your teammates. If you have the pod, you can just revive yourself once you get into that pod form, or they teleport you close to your teammates so they can easily come and revive you. So I never died in this and didn't complete a mission when my team completed the mission. Like, they always revived me, or I had the pod or whatever, and I was able to revive myself. I never got screwed where I played for 40 minutes, died, and never got to reap the rewards from the mission or whatever. So I think that design is pretty clever. And then this also has, in addition to the Mudrunner stuff with the mud, it also has the whole wenching mechanic in it, where you have a winch on the front of your vehicle, you shoot it ahead, you can pull doors down, you can pull debris out of the way. And again, they use that as kind of like a choke point through the game. Oh, here's this path, but you can't get past it because there's a bunch of debris in the way. you need to find a vehicle that has the winch, because not all vehicles have a winch. And that becomes your goal then as the team. Let's go find the vehicle with the winch. And once we find it, let's fill it up with gas. Let's repair it. Then let's drive over where we need it. And along the way, we're going to fight a bunch of enemies and run over, and we'll have to repair it when we get there. That's sort of the flow of the game, generally. And it's just fun driving around and just mowing down zombies with the cars. Like, it's a fundamental joy that goes all the way back to Carmageddon back in the 90s. So I've had a blast with this game. I finished it. It took me... I never actually looked at the clock, but my guess is I probably played it for 6 hours. There's 9 missions, and they take 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how good you are and whether you die or whatever. And ultimately, it feels like I played 5 or 6 hours of it. So it was kind of a quick play, but there is some incentive to go back. Like, for example, I never got the operator out to full build, and I'm a big turret and drone guy and shooter, so if I would want to go back and kind of play that way, I totally can. Once you've unlocked all the missions, you can just choose whatever mission you want, and then you become like the savior. You show up into matches, and you're the only, and you just mop everything up, and everybody else is like, thank you, thank you, thank you, like the whole time. It feels pretty good. But there is some incentive to go back and play again, but will I? Probably not. I was really impressed with the craftsmanship of this game. Never found any bugs or any issues or anything like that. Game runs great. Technology running the game is good. You could definitely sense John Carpenter in this, but mostly through the character dialogue. I don't know if he wrote anything, but the tone, the way the characters interact with each other.
I think he consulted on the character writing, probably.
You can tell that it's got his vibes on it, but I wouldn't call it like a John Carpenter movie or anything like that.
No, I've seen him in Q&As and stuff recently. He's just doing what people want him to do. He's like, whatever.
If I can collect a check at this point
Pretty
for
much.
doing the stuff that I did for a long time, that's cool. And I'll say this too,
he's very unimpressed with himself.
Yeah, he's always kind of been that way. I admire him for that.
Yeah.
The last few missions in this game get insane. It is like 500 zombies coming at you, and they give you the stuff to have fun. Like, I use these claymore mines through the entire game, and if you're standing on a gangway or whatever looking down, and there's just 300 zombies piling up at the base of the wall trying to climb up the wall, and you just drop that claymore down on them, it is so satisfying. So anyway, it feels really good. The guns feel great. Headshots, they just pop. And one thing I also like about this is there's so many times I played through this, Matt, where I saw this horde of zombies coming at me, and I'm just like, oh shit, I'm dead. And I fought my way out of it. The auto aim assist in this is crazy, and it's good. It needs to be that way, because it just lets you basically just, every time you pull that trigger, it just sights up a headshot. So it's snap, 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 pop, 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 pop. You're just popping zombie heads all over the frickin' place. And a horde of 50 or 60 zombies coming at you, you can handle them in this game. And it feels really, really good. And after a while, you start to realize that. Because when in the early going, you're like, oh, my buddy's over here. He's about to get overwhelmed. You go over there. By the time you get there, he mopped them all up. You're like, oh, he didn't need my help, actually. Then you start to figure it out. I actually don't need help either. And you start to realize that one person in this game can handle a lot of heavy business. So I'll be honest, I think I like this more than Left 4 Dead, Matt. It should be better because it's 10 or 15 years later.
At least.
But Back 4 Blood had that advantage, and I didn't find it to be really any better than Left 4 Dead. This game does things better than Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood. And I like the writing better. I think the plot does a better job of pushing the player forward. Yeah, I know people look at Left 4 Dead as this untouchable thing. And look, it deserves praise because it was the first one to do it.
Left 4 Dead was 18 years ago.
Yeah. So if you haven't been able to improve on that formula in almost 2 decades, then what are you doing here? And they have. This game is definitely better than Left 4 Dead. It's definitely better than Back 4 Blood. So as far as I'm concerned, this style of game, this is probably the best on the market. And it's kind of crazy that there aren't more, that more developers don't try to do it, because it's not that hard to make a game like this. It's really not.
I think it's just more that there's not a lot of market for it.
Yeah, that could be. Because you're right, Back 4 Blood sold okay. It didn't set the world on fire, though. But
it definitely didn't.
Yeah. But the Mud Runner stuff is cool.
Barely got anything started.
Yeah. The Mud Runner stuff in this is cool, though, because the mud is real, and your cars will get stuck in the mud, and they'll be stuck there for good, and you're just screwed. Sometimes you're in the car, you get stuck in the mud, and the zombies just start piling on the car, and you're just like, screw it. I got to get out and try to run away. As far as complaints about this game, obviously its length is a little suspect for the money that they're asking for it. The other thing I would say is the enemies are crazy repetitive. These enemies you're seeing right now, you fight them for the whole 6 hours. They're just the same guys throughout the entirety of the game.
Feels like you could use a little wider FOV.
You think so?
Well, you keep getting blindsided by things you didn't see.
Yeah,
and it like feels like it was close enough that you should have seen at least a hand, like off one side.
I hear
or
you.
Something.
They give you so much leeway in this. Like again, it's hard to die. You can get trapped sometimes in corners and get overwhelmed and die. Every once in a while, a boss will come up from behind you and like hit you from behind and kill you instantly or whatever, like a mini boss. To me, this is probably about as good as this game design is going to be. You need to find the gas and put the gas in the generator, then start the generator that starts this other thing, and you go over there and you flip the switch, and then that frees the truck that has the winch on it. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how this game works. I had a blast with this. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I knew it was coming.
Yeah, we definitely... They've been pushing this in a couple of presentation things.
Yeah, they've put out a couple trailers for it, so it hasn't been completely radio silent.
It was in
a big press conference.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was also in because I didn't watch any of that, but I definitely have seen it in I don't know, maybe it was Summer Games Fest or something like that.
It was in like a presentation for sure. There you go. That's John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. It's available for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. I would very happily pay $30 for this. I would begrudgingly pay $40 for this. I would not pay $50 for it. We're going to talk next about what a lot of people are calling a Game of the Year contender for 2026. It's definitely, without a doubt, one of the biggest indie games to release so far this year, and that is Slay the Spire 2.
I'd say it's one of the biggest games, period, so
it
far
feels,
this year.
Sales-wise,
and player
on
count,
Steam, all of it. It is one of the biggest games
and it's just early access on one platform. So
it's only available for PC right now. So you can't get it on consoles yet, and it's only available on early access on PC right now, but by most accounts, it feels like the game is pretty much done.
I mean, I'd say it feels as complete as, say, Hades 2 did when it hit early access. It's just fine-tuning at this point. I mean, normally I do prefer to hold off on early access till they're done, but I have a hard time believing you're going to notice a huge difference.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to tweak too much with this before it finally comes out as a final version. Now, I have not played this at all, and Matt, full disclosure, I did not play the original either. I am not a deck building guy.
A deck builder, you start with a very baseline set of starter cards, usually 10 to 12, and that is what you start with in this. I actually never played Slay the Spire 1 either. You start with I think it's 4 or 5 basic attack cards.
What's the setup for this?
4 or 5
what's the reason for the season?
You're going up a spire to kill things.
That's all. It's just because there's it isn't like there's an opening cinematic or anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's cinematics in this trailer, but I didn't see any when I played the game. The characters certainly have bios and there's a little backstory lore you find as you unlock stuff, but basically you are moving through these locations to defeat enemies and bosses, gain loot, and presumably get to the top of whatever the spire is.
You're just climbing a tower, basically.
Basically, the map is set up like that. So I don't know if you're really climbing a literal tower in this one.
It's just the way it looks.
The first one, I think you were, but from what I understand, it's very similar to the first one. But it's a roguelike in that regard. Same thing. There's your map. You pick which direction to go, and when you die, you have to start over, but you tend to keep some stuff you unlocked, and just like a roguelike, roguelite rather. So there's your basic strikes, your basic defense, and I think there's one stronger, I think it's a bash card. So that costs a little more. You deal 8 damage instead of 6. So that's your starting deck. And so every time you win a fight, you will get a little gold. And you'll notice you draw your 5 cards, and when they go to the discard, and when you can no longer draw enough to have a new hand, you reshuffle your discard and then draw from your newly shuffled deck, right?
Okay.
After you beat an enemy, you get a little gold, and you get to add a new card to your deck.
Permanently?
For this run.
Just this run?
Yeah, just this run. You start over every time you start a new run. So you can pick whichever. These are all random. There's a pool of cards they pull from, and you get to pick whichever one you want, and it will go into your deck, and you'll see it goes into your deck up in the upper right corner. And so now that card might come up when you draw. And every time you win a fight, you get a new card like that. Every time you go to a store, you can buy new cards with the gold you find. You can also pay to what's called thin your deck, which means to remove usually your early starting cards that are not as good as the ones you've added. So you basically thin your deck so you're more likely to draw the cool stuff you've picked rather than the bad stuff, the mediocre stuff you started with. And that is what a deck builder is. The idea is that you are in board game ones. Usually, the cards tend to have money on them that you can then buy new cards from a market that's in front of everybody. In this, it's more like automatic. Instead of playing in a usual deck builder, you'd play all your cards out, do what you're going to do. And in this, you basically use each card as a move for a turn-based attack. You can, and basically what you're doing is you're attacking with the strike stuff, and your defending will put defense. Like a little shield on your character's life bar that's blue, and like that right there.
Yeah.
And when they attack you, you can block that many points of damage from the attack turn once you run out of your hand, because you have 3 energy to spend every turn, which can alter depending on the cards you get, the upgrades you get. You can have more energy per turn sometimes. But once you're
the number of actions you can take on your turn?
The amount of energy you can spend on the cards, which is the upper left corner.
Oh, I see the numbers on the cards. Gotcha.
Yeah, you'll notice the bash card, which is a little better, costs 2 energy.
Okay.
But then there's a bunch of like good cards. There's like cards where like they cost 3 energy, but the cost reduces for every other attack you play this turn. So you play 2 attacks, now it costs 1.
Gotcha.
There's one I got where you do 26 damage, but it costs 1. But after you play it, it becomes cost 0. So if you have other cards that can pull it out of your discard, it costs nothing to use it again. The thing that's hardest to kind of keep track of in this is how many status effects, all the status effects you're putting on the enemy, like vulnerable and weak.
Are there not visual cues?
There are, but again, you tell me what the difference between vulnerable, weak, and frail would be.
Yep.
Like once you see what they do, it is obvious what it is, but it's just like early on, you're like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And there's a little, like that little arrow above the beetle there indicates that when his turn comes up, he's going to hit you with a status effect, which he shrank you, which is going to make you do less damage instead of it. So now you see the sword, it means they're going to attack you.
Okay.
So it gives you an idea of when you need to use
that's
block
very
cards
helpful. Yeah.
Versus when you need, and you go through and you can fight stronger enemies, or like little mini bosses you can run into. There are the question marks on the map are a chance of being a fight or a chance of being like a little like RPG encounter where you can make a choice and either get a good item, or maybe sometimes you maybe get a really good item and lose some health, or whatever. It's just a choice of what you want. And then at the top of each map, each act is a big boss, which maybe you're still have enough health. You're gonna also get to rest places. There are rest places to get.
So you have 1 health bar basically.
One health bar, and the rest.
Jeez.
The rest zones will give you, I think it's like 30% of your health back.
Okay.
Like the hardest decisions you should be making are which cards to take.
Okay.
And that should be pretty obvious. However you prefer.
As far as
the
ones to keep, you mean?
Yeah. You want to. There are things that are like better or worse objectively, I suppose. But in general, for deck builders, you want to pick the stuff that is going to let you play the way you want to play. You want to do big damage. Look for the big damage cards. You want to do big damage cards, and you want stuff that lets you pull those big damage cards back out from your discard after you've already played them. Some of the cards that let you do that let you play them for free after you pull them back out. So that's a big deal.
Sell me on this. Make me want to play it, Matt.
I mean, I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm just surprised that so many people have latched onto it based upon how you described it.
It is one of the most popular board game formats in existence.
Do you think there's a lot of crossover between people who are playing board games and people who pick this up?
I don't think there's that much, because I will say when the board game came out, a lot of board game people were like, what is this?
Oh.
Like, they were surprised to find out it was based on a video game.
It feels like the consensus on this game is it's really freaking good, but it's also very similar to the first one. Do you think that's why? Because it's very hard to get that secret sauce and you don't want to mess with it too much?
I think that is some of it. I mean, I think because they already kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
And you really just want to refine it and make it more.
Yeah.
And that is seems to be pretty much what this is.
So you'd recommend people at $25 pick this up?
Yeah, I think so.
What if you're someone like me who hasn't really resonated with games like this, but you really like turn-based RPGs?
I would argue you haven't played a game like this.
You're probably right. Yeah.
You haven't played a deck builder, I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So again, I don't know, but I will say that everyone I've introduced to deck building in board games has liked it.
All right, next up, we're going to discuss something. It seems like it should have been what headlined GameFace 472, because literally like 30 people in chat asked us if we were going to discuss this, and we are. We're going to discuss yesterday's reveal of NVIDIA's DLSS 5. Now, people may wonder what the hell DLSS is. I like to describe it as like witchcraft from NVIDIA. Basically, it's a way to make games look better with, I guess that's depending on your perspective. Make games look better without improving or having added hardware. It's an algorithm. They say AI, but it's really just like an algorithm or whatever.
I mean, that is what AI is.
Pretty much. I mean,
that's it's chat. I mean, it's chatbots with googly eyes pasted on it to make you think they have a personality, but really it is an algorithm with predictive, whatever. And in this case, Whew.
A lot of times
Not
it allows developers to improve frame rates without sacrificing the visual quality.
Yeah, the main usage of DLSS so far has been to basically frame prediction. Like it's looking
fills in the empty frame.
It takes what the game is and assumes that this frame is going to be dropped, so we'll just generate a frame to fill it in. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have an issue with like if games are like letterboxed, like it'll like you'll see like the letterbox like it'll have trouble like telling where to put the black lines and stuff. But in general, it is a decent way of faking a steady frame rate if you don't have another option. This is a different approach. Like so that's where they're showing that big frame rate boost from that. And it's not perfect. Like once you've played with it for a while, you can sort of tell when the frame rate boost is on. It doesn't quite look right. There's a lot of upscaling stuff for like, which is actually, that's probably the best usage of it for me is like the upscaling. So
you can play in 4K even though it's really 2K.
It helps a lot. I mean,
1080p.
certainly for something like Cyberpunk, it works very well. And it's gotten way better over time. So they've just refined it and it has but this is a different attempted usage and it feels like they are not quite done cooking it yet.
Yeah. So
like obviously all the stuff they're showing there with the frame rate and resolution stuff, like that's all
great. No one's going to complain about that.
And this is actually a really good idea. But somewhere in here you have to apply something that tells the algorithm, please preserve the look, tone, and concept of what the original shot is supposed to look like, because that isn't Grace anymore. Like that looks like that thing where like weirdos on Twitter like redo Aloys with like makeup and supermodel features, like, and they're not even changing anything about the Grace's like character model. They're just changing the lighting and the tone, but that's not what Grace Ashcroft is supposed to look like.
It's pretty amazing technology.
It is.
I mean, it's pretty crazy what they do.
But it ain't done yet. Like that changes the look of that shot substantially. Even if you just look at the background, it lightens it up.
Everything changes.
Like that's not what Resident Evil Requiem is supposed to look like. They don't want you to be able to see that much daylight back there. It's not supposed to be that.
And that's where the problems come in. Is when the technology starts impacting the art.
Yes.
And in this, I mean, I can still tell it's Grace, and I think if most people look at the side by side,
it looks like Grace going out for an important date.
Right, it's like she's going to go out on Saturday night.
It doesn't look like Grace
in the game.
About to investigate a place her mother was killed.
Right,
you know?
But I think if you show most people like the two images of her face, I think most people will say this looks better and more realistic. But it's not what the developers created. It is taking creative agency with Grace's face. Like they designed her to look like that.
Yeah.
That's what Capcom wanted her to look like.
And she could look like the other picture of, again, if she was in a different context, if she was, going to a wedding or something, sure. But that's not what she looks like in the street
when it's raining.
The crime scene in the rain. Like that looks like a porn version of Grace.
Yeah.
And this looks, I don't know what this is. This is like, the transition is hilarious. Like
they put all the scruff on in his beard and whatnot. Some gray hair in his beard. This is a drastic transformation.
Yeah, these are. I feel like some of the Hogwarts ones like break the art style, like because that's part of the other problem is it makes everything look like AI generated image. Like it looks like an AI generated meme.
I think the problem is they all look the same.
Yeah, there's a sameness to all of it that needs to. And again, improving the lighting. Yeah, it absolutely does. Like, look at the clothing, look at the light on the clothes. Like, that is amazing. Like, that's fantastic. If you can get the tone better and the visual texture better, like to the original, that's fantastic. But you're stripping the artistry out of the characters. You're removing the tone and the mood of what the shot is supposed to look like. Because, and I've seen people, and it's like, oh, they're not changing it, they're just changing the light. Yeah, lighting is everything.
It is.
I can take lighting and make you look like 3 different people in 3 different photos. Anyone who has ever shot anything for television or film can tell you that. Yeah. Lighting is everything.
It really is. I mean, that's why you spend all day setting up the lights for a shot.
And this guy, they turned this guy into plastic. Although the coat looks great.
Yeah.
But again, it takes a lot of the dark shadows out of it. And like, Hogwarts and Harry Potter always has a little bit of like dark menace to it, especially in the post. After the 3rd movie and Alfonso Cuarón kind of changed how that franchise presented itself visually, and this I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend the artistic merits of the visuals of Starfield, but like these don't look like the same characters anymore. Like, and maybe they shouldn't. Maybe this is a lateral move when it comes to Starfield. Yeah. But the other shot, not this one, but the one with the two guys, like that looks that looks like something you'd see in like some kind of like Twitter meme, like some AI generated Twitter meme.
To me, the big red.
This looks hilarious to me. Like the change to the most generified like AI generated man.
He definitely looks AI right there. There is no doubt about it. Both of them do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big issue with this, Matt, is that it makes every game look the same. It takes away their individual characteristics to make them all look the same. All the people look the same. It didn't matter which game they went to. They all look the same.
They all look exactly the same. Like the art style looks the same. AI slop.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you want to apply this, and I think Todd Howard came out and basically defended it and said, you can turn it on or off, and we can turn it on or off, and we can adjust how much it happens and it doesn't happen, and the player will let you turn it off if you want to. But I think that's missing the point. I mean, the point is that you have artists that you're paying who are very talented and do a great job at what they're doing, and you're wiping their work away.
Yeah, you're changing the look, changing the I mean, it's like, you know, it's sort of like the AI, the motions. It's not AI, but I mean, it is the same algorithm-based change to visuals. But like that motion smoothing on all those all the TVs forever, like that's not how those movies are supposed to look.
And we now go and turn them off.
Turn them immediately.
People's houses.
Yeah, every time right around Christmas and Thanksgiving, you see everybody's like, oh, by the way, here's how to turn off the motion smoothing on all your parents' TVs, like for all the different models.
What NVIDIA should have done is it should have shown the possibilities. Instead of just saying, hey, here's a trailer we put out, let's show you 5 games and how it affected those games. They should have just shown one game.
Well, what they should have done is they should have made their own thing. They should have done something like remember when Unreal 5 like demoed with that like girl like looking through the cave sequence, remember? Yep. Should have not been an existing game. You should have just done a demo of something and then say we can make it look like this or like this.
That would have helped too. But if they had just shown that you can actually adjust it so that you can make it so your characters don't look like everybody else's characters, and you can actually still incorporate your art style into the technology, people would probably still be like, WTF, but I think they'd be a little bit more understanding or open.
But also
to
like
it.
Little things like I don't know if you saw like that the shot there where the guy's sliding there. Watch his his musculature there, like
the guy on the right
in the middle. His musculature under his shirt jiggles with his shirt after it speeds up again.
Yeah,
because the interpolator doesn't know that that's part of his body, not part of the shirt.
Right.
The game engine does.
Right.
But it's not doing that.
And abs don't shake.
That's not how that works. That's not what that looks like. No,
definitely not. So I'm kind of torn on this because it is incredible. Like it is night and day when they go from one shot to the next. But to me, it's worthless. It was going to make every game look identical to the other ones.
Yeah. Also, Eth even makes the very salient point that these are also running on two 5090s.
Right. 25090s.
Like you can't do this at home.
Not for a long time.
If you'd even want to. But again, I agree. This is very impressive tech. This is pretty much what you should be using AI algorithm work for. But you have to figure out a way to preserve the artistic integrity of what you're doing this to.
I agree.
Like, I mean, the faces and all that are like kind of the obvious thing to pick on. But one of the things I really don't like is that every before and after, the after is always brighter. The after is always like we want to show you more detail. We want to show you more, and it's not like the ray tracing thing where it's like the lighting's better so you can see more of like the dark areas.
Yeah.
It is changing the visual tone and mood of the shot, and that is blasphemy.
It is. Yeah.
That is a slap in the face to all the artists. Not just the visual artists, but the people who directed the game, the creative directors, the level designers, the concept, everyone. Like
I think
that's not what that game's supposed to look like.
People who work in production like us will appreciate that a lot more too, because lighting,
lighting takes forever.
It's the most annoying.
It's the reason nothing happens quickly in film and television. And same in video games. You can tell how much work goes into the lighting in video games.
That was the biggest eye-opener for me, moving from just working on gaming websites to working at Tech TV. It was learning that lighting is everything. Yeah. And when you start to do, like, when we would do story-based stuff at XPlay here in LA, setting up for those shots where we would do legitimate, like, Lighting, it takes like an hour to set up the shot, and then the shot takes 30 seconds, and then you move on.
Yeah. And when you realize like, oh, we want to do this skit, we want to do it right for TV. That's going to take 2 days.
Yeah,
that's all you're going to do for 2 days.
And when you do that, you start to appreciate the work that goes into it. And you're right, this just wipes it all away. It makes all that work irrelevant. And lighting in games, they're doing the same thing, setting the light locations and how they're going to refract.
If they can find a way to make this preserve that, then great. Like, I
one
think
thing
this
I will
is
say,
definitely something to look into.
Yeah, one thing I will say,
it was not ready to be presented in this way. Certainly not without commentary.
Yep. 1,000%. Like NVIDIA totally blew unveiling this, like big time.
Because like what you said, the way they've done this makes it look like they can't do it any other way.
Yeah, because they show you a different game and they look the same every time.
Right, exactly.
At the very least, they should have made sure that all these character models look completely different from each other.
Or like, I don't know, use other games that have more of a cartoony art style.
What is that going to do?
What does that look like?
I mean, it probably doesn't.
They probably just make it look like that, right? Yeah.
I mean,
like, oh my God, what did they do to Mario? Like,
I mean, I'll just say,
you notice they didn't use Nintendo games for this.
No, I'll just say, like, this soccer shot, it does feel a little bit like it's a face pasted onto the character model that's struggling to stay rigged to the character model.
It looks like a
mask,
like a TikTok
almost.
filter.
Yeah,
like when you see someone's filter slip and it's like, oh my God. Like,
yep. Yeah. So, look, here's the other thing. NVIDIA always unveils this tech, and it always takes 2 5090s or whatever to make it run. And then a year and a half later, they say it can kind of work on our very most expensive video card. And then 2 years after that, people like me who buy the 4070 or whatever finally can actually make use of it. Like, this is way far in the future, like 3-4 years until we're getting this stuff in real time. So NVIDIA does have a lot of time to kind of figure out a better way to present this going forward, but man, did they botch it.
And one thing that Todd Howard probably is correct about, and there's a sentence you don't hear every day, well, he's probably right. Like, now that games going forward know they can incorporate this technology, they will be able to build their stuff in and tell the DLSS 5 how they want it to look.
Chill out. Like, so we just want the lighting.
So my guess would be sort of along the timeline of what you're describing. Like, I bet The Witcher 4 is going to use this real damn well.
Yeah. And it won't look the same as everything else.
Yeah.
Because also they're working together
But applying it to games that were made before this existed, you're going to get this sort of AI filter look to it. I'm sure you can go back and fix... I mean, probably Hogwarts won't, because Warner Brothers are going through some stuff right now. Yeah. But the others, maybe you could go back and tweak it.
You could. Yep. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of red flags that come up with this. I think the other fear, too, is that not every developer is Bethesda, and there's a lot of small fries out there that will take any trick they can get to make their games look better. And I think with that, you're going to see sort of that generic face on every indie game for the next, 10 years or whatever.
Every, quick turner. I mean, every asset flip's going to look like this. There's about to be a revolution in porn games here.
You're right, though.
Like, no more of the static picture porn games. Now everything's going to move.
Yep. So anyway, the internet is losing its mind over this. Developers are chiming in from all over the place. It does feel like it runs the gamut. There's some people like Todd who are like, yeah, I mean, this is off-putting, but thinking about it practically, if they tweak it, I can make it work, blah, blah, blah. Then you have the other developers that are like, F this, I'll never use it.
Todd also works for a company that is owned by a company
company
has invested billions upon billions into similar technology.
And he can probably see what's coming on down the pipe in the next 5 years or whatever, that he's going to be forced to use tech like that.
He probably already knows what this is going to look like in 5 years and is already working on it. He already knows what Elder Scrolls 6 is going to look like with this, and it probably looks fine.
It probably does.
Yeah.
And again, I think NVIDIA just completely dropped the ball.
Yeah, this is all on NVIDIA, I think.
It really is.
Not even in the sense of, you made bad technology, but in the sense of, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. I could have told you this. If you showed me that video and said, Shane, what's going to happen when we put this out? I've been like, oh, my God.
Yeah. Everyone's going to freak out that they all look like the same character.
And they did. And that's exactly what's happened. So I think not just NVIDIA, I think companies in general need to get smarter about how they unveil any technology, but particularly anything even vaguely related to AI.
Like if you'd realize that kind of reaction and you'd let it cook a little longer, all we'd be complaining about right now is that it was running on 2 5090s.
Yeah. And that it's years away instead of the actual aesthetics of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because preserving the aesthetics of, that's the problem with some of the DLSS stuff with the frame interpolation, frame generation, is like it makes it muddy and gross, and like you can tell that it's not.
Yeah, when you turn quickly,
it
you can
smears
see the
background
artifacts.
details.
Yeah.
The horizon looks weird. The mountains don't look right, and like that's the most complaints about DLSS frame generation come from the frame generation messing with the art style, messing with the visuals, and like that is clearly the most important thing to players. Is like you have to balance the performance gain against how you're impacting the look of the game. So how you're impacting the artistic presentation.
For sure.
And I think they've more or less found that with the frame generation, and it's bizarre to me that they didn't think that would apply here.
The Legacy X on YouTube, it's Unreal Engine 3 all over again, where everything looks the same. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
Except back then it was just bald-headed people.
Yeah, so no, we're not doing hair yet. We're doing buzz cuts and dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And do-rags.
We're going to talk about GDC 2026 because there wasn't much news coming out of there, but I think
such as it is.
I think what everybody was looking forward to was new information on Xbox Project Helix, because the new head of Xbox, Asha Sharma, had said that she was going to share more, or they were going to share more, at GDC 2026. She said they're going to share something very soon when she first took the job, and sure enough, a week later, they announced that Xbox Helix plays both PC and Xbox games, and it's going to be really powerful. And then she said, we're not done. We're going to talk more about that at GDC 2026. And they did, but not all that much. It is powered by a custom AMD system-on-chip, and it is co-designed for the next generation of DirectX and FSR to take advantage of what comes next. So basically, they're building the console, not trying to build it so it works with today's DLSS or FSR, but what is going to be coming down the pipe. So earlier when we were talking about the new DLSS 5, you guys were asking us if it's going to be in the new consoles. Here's Microsoft telling you, yes, that it's going to be in the consoles. Now, will DLSS 5 make it to the next Xbox? That might be dicey.
No, and it won't be DLSS. That's NVIDIA's trademark.
It'll be their
some
FSR.
Some kind of
AMD's
version of that.
Yeah. And so they said that they are creating the next Xbox with that in mind, making sure that it works with the new FSR. They also said, and here's the big one, Matt, that probably is going to generate the most discussion for us, is that Microsoft and Xbox announced that development kits aren't going out until next year, until 2027. So I had a little bit of a discussion about this on Sifted with Sifters, and I think it was Cinetype maybe that said because it's a PC architecture that it may not be that long until the console launches after 2027. To me, my knee-jerk reaction to it was, okay, if you're sending out dev kits in mid to late 2027, best case scenario, the first games will be ready by a year from then, like Q4 2028, which is when it would launch. Cinetype brought up a good point, though, in our discussion. He said that, well, really, though, if this console is just a PC and you're building the games...
The only thing you need to do with that dev kit is make sure it works with the OS layer.
Right.
That's what I think is exactly what's happening here.
And so maybe, even though the dev kits aren't going out until 2027, there is still maybe a chance that the console could launch in 2027.
I think their target is the end of 2027.
You think so?
Yeah.
So Pactor yesterday, we recorded...
Also, who gives a shit who has dev kits or whatever thing, because it's just going to play everything anyway. Like, it's just going to be a PC.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that do dev kits matter?
Not for this.
So another thing that Microsoft did at GDC is it released the first images of the dev kits. And a couple other things just related art to Project Helix or whatever. But again, if it's just a PC in a different form factor or whatever, and you're building the games for PC, those games are done when those games are done. They're done for the new Xbox.
Yeah.
So conceivably...
And you're going to be bringing the whole Xbox library forward onto it.
Yeah.
So, like, because they have all that stuff internally. You know, they don't need their own dev kits to do that.
Right.
It's already happening.
You could release games for the next Xbox before the next Xbox is even launched and before there are dev kits out there.
Of course.
You know what the architecture is already.
It's just a thing that plays video games now.
Yeah, PC games.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And my guess is PlayStation 6 probably going to be the same damn thing. As close to PC architecture as PlayStation feels comfortable with.
Yeah, as close as Mark Cerny will allow himself to get.
That's a good... Because you're right. You do have that figurehead there on PlayStation who feels like he needs to interject and provide his input on this stuff. I get that. But otherwise, like, you really could get games out for this console very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the idea behind the whole concept of making it a PC console hybrid.
I think they're trying to make it as frictionless as possible for both development and consumers.
Any hurdle
outside of the price.
Yeah. Any hurdle that Sony adds for the PlayStation 6 is going to be a detriment to making games for the PlayStation 6 versus the Xbox /PC going forward.
But you know what the trade-off for that is
your games will sell on
your
the
games
PlayStation.
will sell 15 times more. Yeah, I think that's kind of
that does become an interesting question then. Even though development will be easy on Xbox, like, will they still prioritize PlayStation 6? Probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be an idiot not to. So, I mean, the good news is that the next Xbox, if you're concerned about it not getting software or whatever because Xbox's console business is dying, it's going to be so easy. And I think that's where we are now, Matt.
If it's on PC, it'll be on Xbox. That's basically what it is.
And I think we're already there. Like, these developers and publishers, they know they're not going to sell any copies of the Xbox Series version. But every single game that's announced, it is announced for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series. They haven't even started including Switch 2 yet in a lot of the big third-party games, even though that architecture probably is just as easy to develop.
That, I think, is a function of how late those dev kits
Agreed.
went out.
Yeah. Because that is
a different thing.
That is a different beast, for sure. But, if you're making a console that's just a PC, those games are just going to come ripping out. And even though no one's buying your console, it's like, why not? What if it ends up on Game Pass? We still need to have that version ready if we end up signing a deal with Game Pass. And if it's so cheap to create that port for Xbox, it's just going to happen.
Yeah, and you're probably going to have incentive from Microsoft anyway.
Right. They're going to incentivize you in some way, for sure. I was a little nervous at first. I was like, man, why would anybody make games for Xbox going forward? Unless you already know you have a deal for Game Pass.
It really doesn't cost you anything.
But now it's so cheap, and that's why we keep seeing Xbox Series versions. Nobody's buying them, but they keep making them. Experience the realm of extraordinary audio with Soundwizardry. With a decade-long journey in sound design, we animate your movies and video games with the breath of sound. Our wide-ranging services include sound design, Foley, sound mixing and mastering, audio implementation, dialogue mastering, and the crafting of unique sound effects from freshly recorded material. Our portfolio contains Baldur's Gate 3, Steven Universe, Alan Wake 2, Gwent, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. Visit soundwizardry.com and let us transmute your vision into an auditory marvel. That's going to do it for GameFace episode 472 right here on Sifted at sifted.net. Just a reminder, we are supported pretty much 100% at patreon.com/sifted. That's spelled SIFTD. If you're listening to the podcast version of this show anywhere out on the wilds of the internet, head on over there for $5 a month. You get all our content early, and you do get an awesome buffer zone of exclusivity, way more than most other gaming content. Patreons. If you can't help us with that, you got no money, but you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can help us out with Twitch Prime. We talk about it on the show all the time. If you're watching on YouTube, it would be great if you could do that. Just go down into the show description below. There's step-by-step instructions on how to connect your Twitch and Amazon accounts. And then once you do that, it's literally just 3 clicks a month to give us $2.50 for free. It costs you nothing. That's why people do it. You can give us free money if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. Please do it. That would be great. And if you don't have any money and you're not an Amazon Prime subscriber, once again, people over on Spotify, I saw you, another record for comments last week. You guys are coming through, but that's how you can help us. Leave comments for the show on podcast services, review the show on podcast services, like the show, share it on social media. All that stuff can make a huge difference for us. Ring the bell, hit like, subscribe, all that crap. It all makes a difference and can all add up for us to help our business going forward. We really, really appreciate it. So next week, Crimson Desert. But I'm excited about Crimson Desert, man. This is a huge X Factor. It could literally be a Game of the Year contender, or it could just be trash. Thanks to everybody on YouTube and on Twitch, you guys in chat, for all the bits, the super chats, all that stuff. We appreciate you guys so much. And as always, you make the show better every single time. So everybody, have a great week filled with great games. GameFace is up and out.